constantly say it. Some people like, some people share, and it's all good. Whatever you can do to get the message out there, we really appreciate it in News Undone. And we got a lot to get to close out the weekend. It's Sunday. And the stuff that I talk about is a lot of stuff people don't really dive deep into. It is obvious that the Democrats use black politicians to bring in people of color and to keep them locked in, and they use trigger words and emotional topics to keep you tied in emotionally so you don't research. They think you a bunch of dumb, but this guy right here takes the cake. This dude, Mandela Barnes, is the Ulta House. And this one is going to be edited because I really want people to be able to play this and to put this out there. I might even put some money behind this with Facebook advertising. Mandela Barnes, these are just some of the things that this dude has said. He said that Trump was a Russian spy. He rejected George Washington as the top president. And this is the thing. And this is where a house will confuse you. George Washington had slaves. Yep. Having slaves is ridiculous. Yep. Even though that was the time, it wasn't right. They were racist as hell then. But I think they were more elitist. But you can't deny what they did. I'm not saying wear the man's t-shirt, but you definitely didn't tear up the man's dollar when you got that to go to the store from your mama or your daddy. So I don't want to hear that. We know George Washington wasn't a great person. And apparently he had wooden teeth. Allegedly. But this is the thing that kills me, because it's just people don't get it because they try to distract you with racism, abortion. Because George Washington, to me, is irrelevant. Why would you even bring him up as not being the top president? Slave owner. Don't nobody like him. Nobody respect him. At least I don't. One of the founding fathers. Okay. I'm glad he was the founding father of a place that I live and enjoy and have made money in. Still broke, but made money in. So he's basically a quote unquote a classic millennial is what he's been called, and he loves social media. He's going against Ron Johnson right now, and he's tweeted more than 18,000 times since joining Twitter a decade ago. If I do something like that, that's one thing, but Mandela Barnes doing it says something different. He says that he spends too much time online. And I get it, whatever. He said he could be reading too, but he spends too much time online. And what's funny about him saying that is part of his job is to read. Check what these people do when they be telling on themselves. He touches on things he knows that are controversial because he understands how SEO works. Now, early on, he showed that obviously he's a liberal. And he said people that are quote unquote progressives who move to the center of the aisle are compromising all integrity. This is how they try to show we will isolate you, and you're not part of the fray. Even if you like the Democrats, if you don't ride exactly with what he's saying, he's an elected official, you're not part of what we're doing. He referred to AOC, Alexandria, Ocasio-Cortez of New York as his president. He implied that COVID-19, a pandemic, would revamp society. He said, and I quote, "We should drastically reimagine society, our communities, and what quality of life actually means in a moment like this." He tweeted that in March 2020, just as coronavirus was starting to spread, Barnes asked in November 2016 if the presidential election had been rigged. Months later, the first-term Democrat declared Donald Trump, then president, a Russian spy. And then he dismissed the notion that George Washington was one of the country's top presidents. Him as a black person, and saying that, and not saying that he's one of saying that he's one of the top presidents. I'll give him a pass on that. He said he could not care less about the Second Amendment right to bear arms. He criticized GOP whip Steve Scalise of Louisiana for not changing his position on gun control after being shot in the hip during practice for the congressional baseball game in 2017. He said, and I quote, "taking one for the team," while this man was on crutches. And then he said, "I question how people vote against self-interest, but this is next level." He literally almost died on this hill. Listen to how dumb this actually is. And this is the thing. And a lot of my brothers and sisters, my conservative brothers and conservative sisters, you guys don't go hard enough at these guys. You instantly go back and forth with the dialogue and getting frustrated with them. And then you get frustrated. Just instantly chalk it up like he's stupid and move on. Present facts. And then bombard him with said facts with no emotion, because it shouldn't be emotional. This guy is obviously unintelligent. It's that simple. I've dealt with people like that. He's dumb. He goes after moderate Democrat senators. Joe Manchin. He said he was missing a vertebrae. Barnes. He is trying to be Wisconsin's first black senator. He's opinioned on police, community unrest, no solutions, by the way, for crime. Two subjects for which he has been criticized during the election. During the 2014 Ferguson protest, which erupted after the fatal shooting of Michael Brown. You can have your own issues on that. I don't know exactly what happened. I saw the video of what Michael Brown did before he got into it with a police officer. I forgot his last name. Whatever, it doesn't even matter. They put that out there so you can see it, so you can be like, oh, okay. So we don't know what happened. But I do know Mike Brown is dead. He tweeted that I guess he called for peace. And he said, as for police, he tweeted that not all police are corrupt and racist. But if I gave you a bowl of Skittles and told you 3 were poison, and he put the periods. And Trump made the exact same Skittles analogy regarding Syrian refugees. I'm not sure about this guy. He said that he wanted to be Schumer's 51st vote. So he being a raccoon for a white man to stay in line, to do the things that they need him to do. Lieutenant Governor Barnes has always been clear with Wisconsinites that he will fight to lower costs for working families and ensure everyone has an equal shot at the American dream. The only problem with that is that he supports unrealistic measures to obtain green energy throughout the state And they're trying to force everyone to drive cars that on average are between $50,000 to $70,000. They are unrealistic. Their side of the aisle is unintelligent. And they know no matter what happens, they're going to get a hefty paycheck while the rest of us slave to pay them. And on that note, I'm at 10 and a half minutes. Next topic.